Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is going to be just a quick follow-up video to one I just shot a few weeks ago on the Jamo Concert 8 speaker. And when that one came to me, just like everything else, first thing we do, we set it up, shoot some measurements, take a look at it, see what it's doing. And it had a real imbalanced response. It had woofer level, tweeter level. It looked kind of messed up. And then I shot the individual drivers, and I could see the tweeter's response was below the woofer, which was unusual. That woofer is typically a lower sensitivity driver, and the tweeter I would expect to be a little higher, but it was kind of the opposite. So I sent a message to the owner, and I said, I don't know if I can fix this. We may need to replace the tweeter, and the very top end is rolled off a little bit. So sat on it for a day or so, and then I came back to it, and I thought, let me take a look at it. Let me see what I can do with this thing. And I was able to balance out the response pretty easily. Made a nice flat response, didn't need very many parts at all, and made it work. Now, granted, the top end was still dropped off quite a bit, but I looked at the factory measurements on what that tweeter should be from Seaz, and the top end of that tweeter in the measurements looked pretty rolled off as well. It kind of matched mine. So I thought, well, it's fine. It's okay. I mean, I made it measure. Also kind of worried about the woofer. It seemed like the cone material didn't feel like the magnesium cone that I normally see on that model, and the sensitivity was a little bit higher. And some of the cosmetics about the backside of it looked very different than those production models that I've worked with a lot. I've worked with all those Seaz Excel drivers back in the day, and I have measurements and photos of custom stuff that I've done with those, and it just didn't look right to me. So I thought, well, they're custom making this for Jamo, so I didn't really give it a whole second thought. It's like, manufacturers do that all the time. They custom make drivers for whoever wants to buy them, so that didn't really shock me that it seemed different. But sent everything in to the customer, sent everything back, shot a video on it, and I had some guys questioning the measurements in the video and saying, this tweeter looks way too rolled off. And I kept going back to the factory measurements and looking at it and thought, it looks just the same. Some of those guys were pointing out, though, that the measurements were 10K, 20K, 30K. I was looking at it as 10K, 15K, 20K, maybe 24, 25K, which is more normal. And in that case, it matched perfectly, and it was only down about a half a dB from factory measurements. So within normal tolerances. And kind of went back and forth with those guys. But a couple of guys pretty sure that first line past 10K was 20 and then 30. And if it is, then the top end is more rolled off than what it should be. And I kind of questioned some of that stuff to begin with. And so it got me thinking that either that one is a little off, or these aren't actual production drivers from Seaz. And some of the guys were saying, well, the ferrofluid may have dried up in that tweeter. And it's true that over a lot of time that can happen. It can thicken up. And when that does happen, though, it brings the sensitivity down across the board. It doesn't just drop the top end off. That isn't what happens when the ferrofluid gets thick. So I kind of dismissed that thought. But I still wasn't comfortable about it, and the customer wasn't real happy with some of the discussion back and forth. So I offered the customer I made an offer, if you'll send that thing back to me, send the tweeter out of the other speaker, and if you want, order a Seaz tweeter that's supposed to be the replacement for that. Send it to me. I'll measure all of it. We'll see where it is, see what it's doing, and figure out what's going on. In the meantime, I'm going to pull that video because I'm uncertain about some of those measurements, and I'm going to pull it from the site. I'm not going to offer that kit until I figure out exactly what's going on with that speaker. Granted, I did fix that speaker. That speaker has a nice smooth response, but I don't know if it's indicative of all of them that are out there and they're all going to look exactly like that, or if that's an exception. So until I can figure out what's going on, I'm just going to pull it. We're going to reinvestigate. And at some point, maybe I'll do another video on it, and we'll do a follow-up and figure out exactly what's going on. And maybe I can help a lot of the guys out there that have that speaker, which has pretty good drivers, but the crossover quality was fair to poor. I mean, it had some air core inductors, so they were pretty small gauge. It had horrible wire on it that was really oxidized and had steel parts on the binding posts and things like that. They had a lot of things there that's really crushing the detail and resolution levels out of that speaker. So There's a lot that can be done with it. It's got decent bones. You know, it's got good foundation, good drivers, good cabinet. It just needed some help inside. So we'll see what we can do, and I'll post and video any follow-up information that I get on it. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.